Welcome to the Flame Tree Myth and Fiction podcast.
Today we have two really exciting stories to share with you. Both are stories that explore technology advancements, particularly the mortal desire to replicate humanity through science or artificial intelligence. The first story in this episode is The Dancing Partner by Jerome K. Jerome, sourced from our collection titled Robots and AI, which resides in our Gothic fantasy series. And now, The Dancing Partner by Jerome K. Jerome.
This story, commenced Max Shogunasi, comes from Furvangen, a small town in the Black Forest. There lived there a very wonderful old fellow named Nicolau Geibel. His business was the making of mechanical toys, at which work he had acquired an almost European reputation. He made rabbits that would emerge from the heart of a cabbage, flop their ears, smooth their whiskers, and disappear again. Cats that would wash their faces and mew so naturally that dogs would mistake them for real cats and fly at them. Dolls with phonographs concealed within them that would raise their hats and say, "Good morning, how do you do?" And some that would even sing a song. But he was something more than a mere mechanic. He was an artist. His work was with him a hobby, almost a passion. His shop was filled with all manner of strange things that never would or could be sold, things he had made for the pure love of making them. He had contrived a mechanical donkey that would trot for 2 hours by means of stored electricity, and trot too much faster than the live article, and with less need for exertion on the part of the driver. A bird that would shoot up into the air, fly around and around in a circle, and drop to earth at the exact same spot where it had started. A skeleton that, supported by an upright iron bar, would dance a hornpipe. A life-sized lady doll that could play the fiddle. And a gentleman with a hollow inside who could smoke a pipe and drink more lager beer than any 3 average German students put together, which is saying much. Indeed, it was the belief of the town that old Geibel could make a man capable of doing everything that a respectable man need want to do. One day he made a man who did too much, and it came about in this way. Young Dr. Follen had a baby, and the baby had a birthday. Its first birthday put Dr. Follen's household into somewhat of a flurry, but on the occasion of its second birthday, Mrs. Dr. Follen gave a ball in honour of the event. Old Geibel and his daughter Olga were among the guests. During the afternoon of the next day, some 3 or 4 of Olga's bosom friends, who had also been present at the ball, dropped in to have a chat about it. They naturally fell to discussing the men, and to criticising their dancing. Old Geibel was in the room, but he appeared to be absorbed in his newspaper, and the girls took no notice of him. "There seem to be fewer men who can dance at every ball you go to," said one of the girls. "Yes, and don't the ones who can give themselves airs," said another. "They make quite a favour of asking you." "And how stupidly they talk," added a third. "They always say exactly the same things. 'How charming you are looking tonight. Do you often go to Vienna? Oh, you should. It's delightful. What a charming dress you have on. What a warm day it has been. Do you like Wagner? Oh, I do wish they'd think of something new.'" "Oh, I never mind how they talk," said a fourth. "If a man dances well, he may be a fool for all I care." "He generally is," slipped in a thin girl rather spitefully. "I go to a ball to dance," continued the previous speaker, not noticing the interruption. "All I ask of a partner is that he shall hold me firmly, take me round steadily, and not get tired before I do." "A clockwork figure would be the thing for you," said the girl who had interrupted. "Bravo!" cried one of the others, clapping her hands. "What a capital idea!" "What's a capital idea?" they asked. "Why, a clockwork dancer. Or better still, one that would go by electricity and never run down." The girls took up the idea with enthusiasm. "Oh, what a lovely partner he would make," said one. "He would never kick you or tread on your toes." "Or tear your dress," said another. "Or get out of step. Or get giddy and lean on you. And he would never want to mop his face with his handkerchief. I do hate to see a man do that after every dance. And wouldn't want to spend the whole evening in the supper room. Why, with a phonograph inside him to grind out all the stock remarks, you would not be able to tell him from a real man," said the girl who had first suggested the idea. "Oh, yes, you would," said the thin girl. "He would be so much nicer." Old Guy Bell had laid down his paper and was listening with both his ears. On one of the girls glancing in his direction, however, he hurriedly hid himself again behind it. After the girls were gone, he went into his workshop, where Olga heard him walking up and down, and every now and then chuckling to himself. And that night he talked to her a good deal about dancing and dancing men, asked what they usually said and did, what dances were most popular, what steps were gone through, with many other questions bearing on the subject. Then for a couple of weeks he kept much to his factory, and was very thoughtful and busy, though prone at unexpected moments to break into a quiet, low laugh, as if enjoying a joke that nobody else knew of. A month later, another ball took place in Furtwangen. On this occasion it was given by old Wetzel, the wealthy timber merchant, to celebrate his niece's betrothal, and Geibel and his daughter were again among the invited. When the hour arrived to set out, Olga sought her father. Not finding him in the house, she tapped at the door of his workshop. He appeared in his shirt sleeves, looking hot but radiant. "Don't wait for me," he said. "You go on, I'll follow you. I've got something to finish." As she turned to obey, he called after her, "Tell them I'm going to bring a young man with me. Such a nice young man and an excellent dancer. All the girls will like him." Then he laughed and closed the door. Her father generally kept his doings secret from everybody, but she had a pretty shrewd suspicion of what he had been planning, and so, to a certain extent, was able to prepare the guests for what was coming. Anticipation ran high, and the arrival of the famous mechanist was eagerly awaited. At length the sound of wheels was heard outside, followed by a great commotion in the passage, and old Wenzel himself, his jolly face red with excitement and suppressed laughter, burst into the room and announced in stentorian tones, "Herr Guy Bell and a friend." Herr Guy Bell and his friend entered, greeted with shouts of laughter and applause, and advanced to the centre of the room. "Allow me, ladies and gentlemen," said Herr Guy Bell, "to introduce you to my friend Lieutenant Fritz. Fritz, my dear fellow, bow to the ladies and gentlemen." Guy Bell placed his hand encouragingly on Fritz's shoulder, and the lieutenant bowed low, accompanying the action with a harsh clicking noise in his throat, unpleasantly suggestive of a death rattle. But that was only a detail. "He walks a little stiffly." Old Guy Bell took his arm and walked him forward a few steps. He certainly did walk stiffly. "But then walking is not his forte. He is essentially a dancing man. I have only been able to teach him the waltz as yet, but at that he is faultless. Come, which of you ladies may I introduce him to as a partner? He keeps perfect time, he never gets tired, he won't kick you or tread on your dress, he will hold you as firmly as you like and go as quickly or slowly as you please. He never gets giddy, and he is full of conversation. Come, speak up for yourself, my boy." The old gentleman twisted one of the buttons at the back of his coat, and immediately Fritz opened his mouth, and in thin tones that appeared to proceed from the back of his head, remarked suddenly, "May I have the pleasure?" and then shut his mouth again with a snap. That Lieutenant Fritz had made a strong impression on the company was undoubted, yet none of the girls seemed inclined to dance with him. They looked askance at his waxen face with its staring eyes and fixed smiles, and shuddered. At last, old Guy Bell came to the girl who had conceived the idea. "It is your own suggestion, carried out to the letter," said Guy Bell. "An electric dancer. You owe it to the gentleman to give him a trial." She was a bright, saucy little girl, fond of a frolic. Her host added his entreaties, and she consented. Herr Guy Bell fixed the figure to her. Its right arm was screwed round her waist and held her firmly. Its delicately jointed left hand was made to fasten upon her right. The old toy-maker showed her how to regulate its speed and how to stop it and release herself. "It will take you round in a complete circle," he explained. "Be careful that no one knocks against you and alters its course." The music struck up. Old Guy Bell put the current in motion, and Annette and her strange partner began to dance. For a while, everyone stood watching them. The figure performed its purpose admirably. Keeping perfect time and step, and holding its little partner tight clasped in an unyielding embrace, it revolved steadily, pouring forth at the same time a constant flow of squeaky conversation, broken by brief intervals of grinding silence. "How charming you are looking tonight," it remarked in its thin, far-away voice. "What a lovely day it has been. Do you like dancing? How well our steps agree. You will give me another, won't you? "Oh, don't be so cruel. What a charming gown you have on. Isn't waltzing delightful? I could go on dancing forever, with you. Have you had supper?" As she grew more familiar with the uncanny creature, the girl's nervousness wore off, and she entered into the fun of the thing. "Oh, he's just lovely," she cried, laughing. "I could go on dancing with him all my life." Couple after couple now joined them, and soon all the dancers in the room were whirling round behind them. Nicolaus Guybel stood looking on, beaming with childish delight at his success. Old Wenzel approached him and whispered something in his ear. Guybel laughed and nodded, and the two worked their way quietly towards the door. "This is the young people's house tonight," said Wenzel, as soon as they were outside. "You and I will have a quiet pipe and glass of hock over in the counting house." Meanwhile, the dancing grew more fast and furious. Little Annette loosened the screw regulating her partner's rate of progress, and the figure flew round with her swifter and swifter. Couple after couple dropped out exhausted, but they only went the faster, till at length they remained dancing alone. Madder and madder became the waltz. The music lagged behind. The musicians, unable to keep pace, ceased and sat staring. The younger guests applauded, but the older faces began to grow anxious. "Hadn't you better stop, dear?" said one of the women. "You'll make yourself so tired." But Annette did not answer. "I believe she's fainted!" cried out a girl who had caught sight of her face as it was swept by. One of the men sprang forward and clutched at the figure, but its impetus threw him down onto the floor, where its steel-cased feet laid bare his cheek. The thing evidently did not intend to part with its prize so easily. Had anyone retained a cool head, the figure, one cannot help thinking, might easily have been stopped. 2 or 3 men acting in concert might have lifted it bodily off the floor, or have jammed it into a corner. But few human heads are capable of remaining cool under excitement. Those who are not present think how stupid must have been those who were. Those who are reflect afterwards how simple it would have been to do this, that, or the other, if only they had thought of it at the time. The women grew hysterical. The men shouted contradictory directions to one another. 2 of them made a bungling rush at the figure, which had the end result of forcing it out of its orbit at the centre of the room and sending it crashing against the walls and furniture. A stream of blood showed itself down the girl's white frock and followed her along the floor. The affair was becoming horrible. The women rushed screaming from the room. The men followed them. One sensible suggestion was made. "Find Guybel! Fetch Guybel!" No one had noticed him leave the room. No one knew where he was. A party went in search of him. The others, too unnerved to go back into the ballroom, crowded outside the door and listened. They could hear the steady whir of the wheels upon the polished floor as the thing spun round and round. The dull thud as every now and again it dashed itself and its burden against some opposing object and ricocheted off in a new direction. And everlastingly it talked in that thin, ghostly voice, repeating over and over the same formula. "How charming you look tonight! What a lovely day it has been! Oh, don't be so cruel! I could go on dancing forever, with you! Have you had supper?" Of course, they sought Guybel everywhere but where he was. They looked in every room in the house. Then they rushed off in a body to his own place and spent precious minutes waking up his deaf old housekeeper. At last it occurred to one of the party that Wenzel was missing also, and then the idea of the counting house across the yard presented itself to them, and there they found him. He rose up, very pale, and followed them, and he and old Wenzel forced their way through the crowd of guests gathered outside, and entered the room, and locked the door behind them. From within there came the muffled sound of low voices and quick steps, followed by a confused scuffling noise, then silence, then the low voices again. After a time, the door opened, and those near it pressed forward to enter, but old Wenzel's broad head and shoulders barred the way. "I want you, and you, Beckler," he said, addressing a couple of the elder men. His voice was calm, but his face was deadly white. "The rest of you, please go. Get the women away as quickly as you can." From that day, old Nicolaus Guybel confined himself to the making of mechanical rabbits and cats that mewed and washed their faces.
A 19th century clockwork robot, Jerome K. Jerome was really thinking way beyond his time here. And he effectively taps into growing fears, particularly now that we have artificial intelligence that goes way beyond simple ballroom etiquette. And now for a new story published last year in our Gothic fantasy Learning to be Human collection, Skinprint by Antonia Rachel Ward.
First copy. The first is flawed, fatally so. The printing comes out twisted and deformed, writhing and bloody with limbs where they shouldn't be, and mouths, oh, so many mouths. They moan incoherently while it contorts in agony for 9 minutes and 30 seconds, and then, like a miscarried fetus, it dies. Second copy. We work hard on defining the print parameters for the second copy, hoping to avoid the disaster of the first. It's weeks before we feel confident we've got it right. When the time comes to press print, I hesitate. I look at Alfred, and he reads my thoughts, gently nudges me out of the way, and presses it for me. 3-dimensional organic printing, or skin printing, is a messy business, made sanitised. From jets built into the sides of a cylindrical glass chamber, the machine prints marrow and cartilage, nerves and blood vessels, organs, skin, teeth, hair, even brain tissue. And it does so with a neatness that is mesmerising. One layer after another, from the tips of the toes to the crown of the head, with ruthless regularity. Once the machine is printing, there's no stopping it, not until the copy is finished. I hold my breath as it materialises my mirror image behind the glass. This time the resemblance is flawless. The finished copy stands naked in the printing chamber, an exact replica of me. It has the same green eyes, the same small breasts, even the same cellulite on its thighs. It opens its mouth to take its first breath, and can't. Third copy. We focus too much on the exterior appearance, Alfred says. We need to make sure the machine can replicate your organic functions just as accurately. This experiment is as much mine as it is his. In fact, I was the one who persuaded the university to let us have the lab and the team for it. But having seen 2 copies expire in one day, I'm not ready to watch a third. I'm going to get beers, I say, as he presses print. Fourth copy. I didn't see the last one die. I took Alfred's word that it was deformed. He had to put it down, he said, for its own good. It was gone before I'd returned with the beers. I cracked open the can and downed it in one go. I couldn't understand why things weren't going the way our modelling had predicted. If I'm honest, I got a bit upset about it. After all, we've done all the groundwork. We've pulled endless all-nighters, calculating and analysing every possible error. Skinprint at this point is my entire life. Not to mention the reason my husband left me, and I'm sleeping alone in a tiny student flat. But let's not go there. I stand beside Alfred's chair as he sets up the print parameters for the next copy. This one will be better, he assures me. He's been working on it all day and night. Would I do the honours? I step up to the keyboard, swallow, press the button. The printing is flawless. The copy lives, breathes, walks right up to the glass and stares back out at us. I wonder what it's thinking. It puts a hand up to the glass, a perfect duplicate of mine. I know that palm like the back of my hand. I joke awkwardly. Alfred doesn't laugh. Speak to it, he says. See if it can talk. I look it in the eye, noticing the familiar grey rim around the green iris, the way the colour is shot through with gold. My name is Dr. Stephanie Collins, I say. but you can call me Steph. It stares at me blankly. I imagine it must be thinking, processing my words, checking them against the dictionary database its AI has access to, trying to understand. Then it opens its mouth. "Ma," it says, like a sheep. Alfred says we will try again tomorrow. 5th copy. The 5th copy at least shows the potential for speech. I sit on the floor opposite it in the middle of the printing chamber and show it flashcards, teaching it letters and sounds. It repeats them back to me. Ah, ah, ah. Ba, ba. Ka, ka, ka. I watch its mouth form the sounds and my lips move along with it involuntarily. That evening when I go home, I stand in front of the mirror and repeat, ah, 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 ba, ba, ka, ka, ka. 6th copy. With each copy, we improve the cognitive functions: sight, hearing, mental processing. Each new version of the AI builds upon the knowledge of the last. The discarded copies are incinerated. I follow Alfred when he pushes the gurney to the furnace and watch fire light up the window behind the heavy steel door. Did you know that the human body is actually very difficult to burn? It's not like in the movies where vampires combust in the blink of an eye. Even at the high temperatures of the incinerator, it takes about an hour to reduce a corpse to ash. I picture the body in there, my body, slowly disintegrating, blackened flesh curling at the edges amongst sizzling fat. Like a hog on a spit. You okay? Alfred asks, and I realise I've been staring at the flames far too long. Fine, I say. Same time tomorrow. 7th copy. I realise it must feel strange, says Alfred, seeing yourself die over and over again. It's not me, I say. I know it's not me. Still, says Alfred, but he doesn't finish his sentence. 8th copy. I don't know why we chose me to be the original. Wasn't something we really discussed, just an unconscious, automatic understanding between the two of us. I suppose it had something to do with the fact that women appear less threatening, or perhaps because robots in movies are always female. It just seemed natural that it should be me, and so it was. My husband, my ex, I suppose I should say, hated the idea. But why does it have to be you? He kept asking. Why do you have to do this at all? I would give him the usual spiel about scientific advancement, about all the potentially life-saving applications, like being able to provide organs for transplant patients and having willing AI servants to do our difficult and dirty work, about how fascinating it would be to raise an artificial intelligence and to find out what it can achieve. And in the end, he stopped trying to argue, just looked at me in this way I hated. Not angry, just sort of sad, like the place I was now standing was so far away that he didn't even know how to reach me anymore. But I have to believe. As we push 8 to the incinerator, I think of her short, painful life and tell myself, I have to believe in what we're doing. I don't have anything else left. 9th copy. This one seems brighter than the others. It's something I can't quite place. A thoughtful look in her eyes, a slight, inquisitive cock of her head as she listens to us talk. We keep 9 for several weeks, teaching her, guiding her, letting her connect to the internet in carefully controlled bursts. I really am sure she's the one, the final one, that there will be no need to destroy her. 9 is the first copy to survive long enough to be moved from the printing chamber to the observation room we've prepared. It's simple but comfortable, with a bed, toilet, shower and sink. 3 of the walls are decorated with Alfred's daughter's paintings, framed against a backdrop of candy-striped wallpaper. The 4th wall is glass. I find myself returning to the lab late at night to talk to her, after Alfred has gone home. I tell her about my life, about my fears and hopes and worries. She doesn't say much, but she always listens. I find it comforting. And then I arrive one morning to find her gone. Alfred is there, looking sheepish. The inner glass of the observation room is splattered with blood at about head height. She malfunctioned in the night and did this. He gestures at the stain. She must have been banging her head against the window. Her face was all smashed up. I had to put her down. His eyes are apologetic in a way I find painful to see. He knows I liked this one, knows this will upset me. I'm sorry. 10th copy. Once again I stay late at the lab. Something is bothering me. I want to keep an eye on this one myself, day and night, just in case. She sits in the observation room, still and silent, her eyes locked on mine through the glass. What are you thinking? I wonder aloud, although the intercom is switched off and I know she can't hear me. I have to keep reminding myself that she's not human. Her thought processes are alien to us. She stares at me. The lights in the lab are dim. What are you thinking? She mouths. Then, in a flash, she is on her feet, surging towards me, faster than lightning. Slam! She hits the glass full force right in front of me. Blood splatters everywhere. Her nose is broken and bleeding. 11th copy. There's a problem with the way some areas of the brain are replicating. Alfred spins a 3D image of a brain around on his computer screen. This is going to take a few goes to get right. Copies 12 through 17. Slam, 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 slam. 18th copy. This time Alfred is convinced he's smoothed out the issues with the brain function. 18 sits quietly in her room with electrodes fixed to her head, her eyes on us as we discuss her test results. There's no way she can hear us behind the soundproof glass, and yet I turn my back on her before I speak, the hairs on my neck prickling under the intensity of her gaze. I think they can lip read, I tell Alfred. What if they know more than we realize? Alfred dismisses my concerns with a chuckle. Nothing seems to worry him. His interest is in the technology. How far can we go? What can we achieve? He's alive with possibility, his eyes bright and excited as he switches on the intercom and starts asking questions. But my husband's arguments echo in my mind in a way they never did before. Some ever-growing part of me is afraid we're making a huge mistake. I stare at the 3D modelled brain on the computer as if I can somehow interpret 18's thoughts just by looking. Do we really understand what we're creating? Who are you? Alfred asks, and I know from experience how his voice will sound in the chamber. Tinny, echoing. 18. Her voice is mine, but void of all expression. On screen, the 3D brain lights up, synapses exploding like fireworks. What is your purpose? To study and emulate human behaviour. Who am I? You are Professor Albert Blake. 18's attention shifts to me, and although she has not been asked, she adds, and you are Dr. Stephanie Collins. Steph. That's right, I say. We've had this conversation many times before, with every copy that survived long enough. 18 must remember it, thanks to the memory downloads from her previous incarnations. Sometimes I feel like she's humouring us, following the steps of a dance she already knows well. I go in to talk to her one morning, carrying a plastic bucket chair identical to the one she's sitting in. I place it opposite her and sit down. As we stare at one another, I imagine how we must look. If it weren't for her hospital gown and my blouse and jeans, no one would be able to tell us apart. How are you today, 18? I am well. Did you sleep well? She cocks her head slightly as if processing my question. I wonder, she says after a long pause, what would happen if I squeezed your windpipe as tightly as I could? 19th copy. For the first 3 days, we talked to 19 only from outside the observation room. Any objects that could cause harm have been removed from her vicinity. At night, I dream I'm lying in her small single bed with its candy-striped duvet cover. Again and again, I dream myself waking up in the observation room until I hardly know if I am her or myself. When I finally wake for real in my own cramped student flat, I'm too rattled to go back to sleep. Instead, I get up in the dead of night and head to the lab, still in my pyjamas. 19 is awake when I get there, waiting, as if somehow she knew I was coming. I scan my fingerprint on the keypad and enter the observation room. She stands and walks over to me, her expression, my expression, gentle, full of sympathy. I almost break down, the full force of everything I've had to see over the last few weeks hitting me at once. All the copies I've pushed to the incinerator, all the times I've died. 19 looks at me as though she understands. She is like a sister, a twin, myself. She comes up close, touches my face with soft fingers. Tell me everything. I want to know everything about you. So I tell her. 20th copy. The previous copy suffered from some lingering imperfections. Overnight it became delusional, emotional, violent even. It smashed up the observation room trying to get out. We decided it could be improved upon. Alfred and I sedated it, rolled it to the incinerator on a gurney, watched as the flames filled the window. 20, though. 20 is perfect.
That was such a chilling and emotive story. You can almost believe it would be happening right now. Cloning doesn't feel that far away, honestly. A big thank you to our authors and narrators. If you want to read more stories about robots or AI, be sure to have a look at our Robots and AI or Learning to be Human short story collections.
Thanks so much for listening. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Flame Tree Myth and Fiction podcast and look forward to the next episode. Do recommend it to your friends. Goodbye for now.